And now you're going to create a section. So you're going to have one section for each of the 3 content management systems that you're reviewing. So we'll have our opening and closing section tags, and we're going to put in an H2. So an H2 is a second level heading, so it's not quite as prominent or as important as an H1. So this fits in our case. In this case, I'm going to say WordPress is the first one that I'm going to review. So I'm going to put the name there, and then I'm just going to do a paragraph tag, put some content here. I'm going to say WordPress includes the following features. And then I'm going to do an ordered list. So I want this to be numbered. So I'm going to do an OL, have my closing OL, and then within that I'm going to have my list items, just like I had for my unordered list. So I'm just going to put a few features for this one. So I'm going to say robust blogging platform, and you can put whatever it is that you had put on your discussion board post. The ability to add pages and mini plugins. So have at least 3 for each one. So I'm going to save that. So if I look at it here, my preview, you can see now I have my 1, 2, 3. I didn't have to actually type in the words 1, 2, 3. It did it for me because I chose an ordered list. Let's go back to source, and then finally at the end of my closing OL, I'm going to add another paragraph tag, and I'm just going to add a little bit more content to summarize it. So just put a sentence or 2 here and go ahead and save. Now if I go back to my preview, you'll see that looks good, but I still have this kind of opening text here is next to my navigation, and obviously I don't want that. So we need to fix that. Let's go back to your source, go back to your style sheet, and then here we're going to type div.clear. So the dot is for a class, or we're going to target a class called clear, and this we're going to type clear colon both in the semicolon. We're going to go back, make sure to save that, go back to your HTML page, and in between the closing nav and the beginning of your div ID main, you're going to type div class equals clear, and that's the style we just created. We're going to close that, and then we're going to close our div. So basically there's nothing here in between, but this just tells it to clear all those styles so that it kind of resets it. So if we take a look at our preview, now we see it's underneath, but it's still a little bit closed, so let's add some padding here. So go back to your style.css. Remember we had called this ID equals main. So now we're going to say div, and we're going to target our ID #main, and we're going to say padding top 20 pixels. And you can experiment with the number of pixels depending on what you want yours to look like. So if I go back here to my index page, look at Safari, so now I have some additional padding, so that looks good. So now it's a good idea to put a link to the content management system so that people can click on it and go directly there. They don't have to try to find a link. So within your H2, around the word WordPress, we're going to put a link to it. So we're going to put our link tag, and we're going to say wordpress.com, and close that. Put our ending A tag at the end of the word WordPress, so we're good there. And now let's go ahead and take a screenshot of the WordPress site, and we're going to add that there. So it's a nice effect. So if you see here our ending page, we have screenshots of each one. So if you go ahead and you go to wordpress.com. So there's a few different add-ons that you can add to Firefox and to Google Chrome to take screenshots. In this case, I just want to do a quick one, so there's an easy way to do that. On your keyboard, hold down Command, Shift, and the number 4. You'll see that your mouse turns into crosshairs. So you can just start here in the upper left-hand corner and kind of drag around what you want to capture. So that looks good. So I'll just let go of my mouse. And if I go to my desktop, you can see the screenshot that I just took, and I'm going to bring that into Photoshop. So if you haven't watched the video tutorial yet on how to crop and resize in Photoshop, you might want to go back and refer to that. So if I wanted to do any cropping, I could, but let's just go ahead and change the image size. So I'm going to set it to 200 pixels wide, and you want to keep the height between about 120 to 135 pixels for each of the 3 screenshots you'll be doing, just to keep them consistent in size. So you may need to do some cropping to get them to about these proportions. I'm going to choose bicubic sharper, click OK. Now I'm going to go ahead and save for web and devices. I'll go ahead and save this as a PNG. Check my file size is 29K. That's great. Again, you want to try to keep them as small as possible, definitely under 100K. Click Save. Now go into your FWD folder that you have created. You'll see that you have your CSS folder and your index page. We're going to create a new folder called Images. It's good practice to put all of your images into their own folder to keep things clean. And we're just going to call this WordPress.png. Save that. Go back to Aptana. Let's go ahead and put in our image tag. So before the ending H2, after our ending A, we're going to put in our image tag. So it's img. Now we need to put our source. So where is this image located? So put src, and then we're going to put the folder name, images, and then the name of our image, WordPress.png. Go ahead in quotation mark. We're going to put in our alt text. You should always put alt text on your images because screen readers then read them for people who are disabled and can't see the screen. It's also good in case for some reason your image doesn't load, at least people can see the text as far as what was supposed to be there. It's also good for search engines. So we're going to call this WordPress. And then we're going to go ahead and just end our image tag there. Now it's also a good idea to make the image a link. A lot of people will see the image and instinctively click on it thinking that they'll go to WordPress. So we're going to go ahead and just add that link there. One thing before we do that, for the WordPress link, we want to have it open up in a new tab. We don't want it to replace the page that we're on. So we're going to put target equals _ blanks. That will open it in a new window. So go ahead and copy that out. And we're going to paste that around the image tag. And go and make sure we put in our closing A tag there. And we're going to save that. So let's go ahead and look at our preview. So there it is. So the alignment is not quite there yet, and we're going to fix that in just a moment. Let's go back to our source here. Let's go into our style page. And now we're going to target the image element. So we're going to type img. And let's go ahead and we're going to float that right. We're also going to do a clear, both. We're going to put a little bit of padding to the top of it. 5 pixels. And now we're also going to put a border around it because it makes it look nice. So we're going to do border 1 pixel solid, and we're just going to do black and semicolon. Okay, so let's go ahead and save that. Go back to our index page, and let's go ahead and take a look and see how this is looking in Firefox. So if you go to your Finder, find your index page here. And you can double click on it if Firefox is your default browser, or you can open with and select Firefox. Okay, so there we are. We have our link to WordPress, we have our list there, and we have our image over here that's also a link, and we have our small black border around it. And you see it's pushed all the way to the right hand side, and obviously it doesn't look very good. So let's go fix that. So go back to Aptana. So go into your style sheet, and we're going to go up to the top where we have that body element, and we're going to add a width. So we're going to say width is 700 pixels. Go ahead and save that. We'll go back to Firefox, and we'll refresh. And you'll see now it's constrained the width so that it looks a little bit better, and it pushes it over so everything is related together. Let's go back to Aptana, go back to your HTML page. And so you're going to do 2 more sections for the other 2 content management systems that you review. So I'm just going to copy this out, and I'm going to paste it twice. So in this case, I looked at Drupal and Joomla. Of course, you can put whichever ones that you looked at, and just make sure to change all of the links, change the headings and the words here. And also you're going to want to go take screenshots of the other ones and put them in here as well. And make sure to also change your alt text as appropriate. All right, let's change all of our links. And I have gone ahead and already made my screenshot, so I'm just going to change my names here. And if I go to my Finder, if I go to my completed, let's grab these other images here, and I'll paste those into my images folder. Okay, so now I have my 3 sections for my 3 different content management systems that I reviewed. Let's go back to Firefox and we'll reload, and we'll see there's the three with their screenshots there. So looking good. Now our footer is kind of down here at the bottom. It's hard to see. It's not really standing out. So let's add some styles to that. So if we scroll down, we see our footer. On our P tag in our footer, we're going to put an ID of footer, because remember, this footer element is new to HTML5, so we want to make sure that we can target it for older browsers. Go to our style sheet down here. So we're going to do our ID footer. And let's go ahead and add some padding top to it. Let's do about 40 pixels. And then we're going to color the font red just so we can make it stand out. So let's save that. We'll go back to Firefox. We'll reload. And then if I scroll down, there we can see it's pushed down and it has the font color of red. So let's go ahead now and take a look at our page in the other browsers. So go to your Finder, find your index.html, or right click, and choose Open with Google Chrome. Okay, looking good. Now you'll see that the default font here is a little bit different than it was in Firefox. So if I go and I open with Opera, opens there. Again, the default font is similar to what it was in Chrome. And finally, let's open with Safari. So you want to make sure you check your page in all 4 browsers. So if I look back at Firefox, you'll see that the font is a little bit different, but I want the font to be consistent across all the browsers. So I'm going to go back to Aptana. In my body, I'm going to set the font family. So this will apply to anything within the body unless I have specified otherwise. So I'm going to say my default font family will be Verdana, Helvetica, and Arial. You'll notice that you often see these in 3s. That's just in case for some reason the person's computer or browser doesn't have Verdana. It will default to Helvetica, and then it will default to Arial, and it should have at least Arial. And then for the font size, I'm going to set that to 12 pixels. I'm going to save this. Let's go back to Chrome. And if I reload, now you'll see it's Verdana, 12 pixels. Look at Opera. Look at Safari. And finally, look at Firefox. So everything is consistent all the way through. Now remember, we also had set that grayish background for these 3. So let's go ahead and take care of that. So go back to your HTML document. So we have our 3 sections, and we're going to add classes to each of them. And we're going to call it class equals section, because remember, you can have multiple instances of a same named class on a page because you want all of those class equals sections to have the same styles. So I'm just going to paste that into each section. Save that. I'm going to go to my style. And then say right above my footer here, I like to kind of keep things in order as they go down the page. It makes them easier to find. So I'm going to target the element section, but I'm also going to target the class section. So I'm going to say dot section, so that will target both of those. Have my curly braces. And then I'm going to say I want the background color to be kind of this light gray. So it's going to be CCC. Have my ending semicolon. Let's go ahead and save that. We'll go to Firefox and we'll refresh. And now I have my light gray background color. Let's go to Chrome and reload. It looks good. Go to Safari. It looks good. And if I go to Opera and I reload, now you notice in Opera it does not show the gray background image. Opera is a little bit funky when it comes to CSS. It doesn't quite follow the same rules, unfortunately, as the other browsers. In this case, it's not a big deal. There are workarounds, but it gets a little bit more complicated. So I just wanted to show you this is why it's so important to test your site in all of the browsers so that you understand what people are seeing. So now that you've finished your page, we're going to go to validate it just like we did last week with our page. So go to the validator, validate by upload, browse, find your file, your index.html, click check, and you should get that it passed. This document was successfully checked at HTML5. Remember, you'll have that warning just because HTML5, their validator is still experimental. So if you got any errors or warnings, make sure to go back and fix those before you submit it to FSO. And then finally, go back to your folder, your FWD folder. You're going to right-click. You're going to choose Compress to zip it. And then you're going to upload to FSO the zip file. Make sure, though, first to put your name on it. And then just call it Project 3 so that I know. And then you're just going to upload that zip file to FSO, and you're done.